Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about the yellow YumYum deck in the Vibes TCG. In this video, we're going to first talk about the construction of the deck, going through each card, talking about as well as mulligans, budget substitution, and tech cards. Then we're going to jump into some gameplay. Alright, so the core of the deck, we're going to start with YumYum. Put 4 copies in. So YumYum is a really powerful card that allows you to ice all penguins as yellow. And what makes this card better than all other icing cards is there's really no conditions attached besides that you need to have 5 yellow Pudge. The nice thing is that yellow is really good at generating a lot of Pudge. So then the other cards we want are cards that work really well with YumYum. So the first one that's very obvious is LuckyPenguin. So LuckyPenguin basically says when it gets iced, then you can take a yellow penguin from your ice and put it back into play. So we'll put in LuckyPenguin, 4 copies. And then the other card that's yellow that works really well with this is PenguinWhosLatetotheParty. And what this penguin says is whenever another yellow penguin is iced, draw a card. So you basically have that on the board, you play YumYum, and then you draw a bunch of cards. All right, and then there's one other card which is not yellow, which is really strong with this, which is InspiringStory. The reason InspiringStory works very well in this deck is that it actually survives the YumYum. Because the way that the game generally plays out is you build a board, your opponent builds a board, you clear everything with YumYum, and then you draw a bunch of cards, have LuckyPenguin generate some leftover penguins, and with InspiringStory still on the board, it's very easy to close out the game from that position. All right, so that's basically the core of the deck. So let's go back. So next, let's talk about the removal package. So because it's a more control-y deck, 4 GotEms is generally a really good card in there. And what makes GotEm so strong is it basically just doesn't cost anything. And on top of that, there's just so many powerful 2-vibe minions out there: Ascending Penguin, Penguin Who's Okay, Wizard Penguins. So it's very easy to get a target for this. All right, and then the rest of the removal package is we have DaydreamingPenguin. And DaydreamingPenguin also combos really nice with Penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes, so that you can draw a card with it while you're using it. And then we also have NotYourKeys. Where's NotYourKeys? Which again, yellow has this very unconditional removal, which is really nice. And it costs 4 Pudge, but again, we'll get into it. Pudge is really easy to generate. All right, so that's our removal package. So next, we're going to just talk about card draw. In this deck, we're going to play just PrepareforaWildNight, and we'll talk about check the yellow pages in the tech card section. So PrepareforaWildNight is just a really powerful card because the upside is so crazy. And in this deck, the way that we have the ratio of spells in the deck, you end up drawing on average 2 cards, but the asymmetric upside makes this card just really powerful. All right, then let's talk about the finishers. So I put 2 cards into the finishers, and when I think about finishers, it's basically after you play YumYum, how do you win the game? The first one is Penguin Who's Late to the Party, because what will happen is you'll play YumYum, and then because you'll have a lucky penguin on the board, you'll end up winning the vibe check post YumYum, which then means that you have initiative, and then you can play Penguin Who's Late to the Party because you drew a lot of cards with Penguin Who Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. All of a sudden, you have an 8-vibe penguin on the board that they just really cannot deal with. So that's one. And then the other finisher is, right, we cannot have a yellow deck without playing BuddyUp. So BuddyUp is just so powerful for any deck that has a lot of penguins in it, and this deck is no exception. So then, last thing we're missing is where does all the Pudge come from? So we're going to start with FlyingPenguin just because it's just one fish, and it's really nice to have a strong start. And then we have the 2 penguins that generate 2 Pudge each. So there's PotStirringPenguin. And again, meeting this condition of having 3 or more penguins is really easy with PotStirringPenguin. So we'll add that. And then Wizard Penguin is the final one, which again just creates 2 Pudge. All right, so here's the list. So before we jump into the games, let's talk about a few more things. So first is tech cards. So I think the one tech card that I have been toying with a lot is check the yellow pages. Now the problem with this card in this deck is that its hit rate isn't really that good. You're only drawing on average 1.5 cards or something like that. But against certain matchups like slower decks like green and blue, this can be this can be a very strong card. So, and then the other one that I have definitely been thinking about is Popcorn Penguin. You're already running Inspiring Story, so Popcorn Penguin can be really strong as well. That being said, there's already a lot of removal, but if you're running into a lot of yellow and Penguin who's okay, Ascending Penguin, Wizard Penguins, Popcorn Penguin is also a good addition to the deck. All right, so that's kind of the core, the tech cards that I am mainly thinking about with this deck. So then the other thing that I want to talk through a little bit is budget substitutions. So the cards that are rare cards in here are basically GotEm and YumYum. So GotEm, you don't need to have GotEm. So if you don't have GotEm, just put in check the yellow pages. Honestly, one other nice thing about check the yellow pages is it also can be hit with PrepareforaWildNight. And then the other card that you could put in if you want more, if you need more budget substitution slots is Mysterious Penguin. It's just another like board control-y penguin. Personally, I haven't found it so impactful because you're not really looking to flop one penguin, but you're looking to wipe out the entire board. But it's still a penguin that, if you don't have some of the other cards, you can definitely put in as well. The other card that is a rare card is YumYum. So you can get away with playing this deck probably with as little as 2 copies of YumYum. If you're doing that, you just have to be very aggressive in holding it and just be very careful about when you use it. So obviously the deck is best with 4, but I think you can get away with as little as 2. But it's going to get better with every copy of YumYum. So let's talk about mulligans. So the main thing you're mulliganing for is just a nice curve of penguins. You also really want to keep PrepareforaWildNight because it's really the only card draw. So I think that would be a good start. And LuckyPenguin is also really good to keep in the mulligan. If you have a good start, like if you have a 1 and a 2, I would keep LuckyPenguin. I would look for Inspiring Story maybe. Definitely. You could keep YumYum or Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbye. One thing that sometimes happens is your opening hand will have like 3 YumYums in it. In that case, you really have to keep one of them because the other 2 will end up going on the bottom of your deck, so you won't see them the entire game. So there's a little bit of, and same thing for Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. So if you for some reason end up with 3 of them in your opening hand, definitely keep one of the 3. All right, so that's kind of the overview of how the deck works. So let's jump into some gameplay. Okay, so in our opening hand, we have 2 Flying Penguins. So we probably don't want to keep both because we have a 2-drop as well. So this is one of those hands where I'm tempted to just keep everything because I have already a good 1 and 2. Then I have Inspiring Story, which works really well with YumYum, and I already have YumYum. Plus, yeah, so I think I'm just going to keep everything here because the deck also has so many small penguins that I think will fill out the curve. And on top of that, we also have removal. So that's always important to have some sort of way to remove stuff. And so we don't have to look for a GotEm. Okay, so we actually have the full combo already. So I think this was a very greedy keep, but we'll see if it works out. And the overall plan is going to be, so we have basically our turns 5 and 6 and 1 and 2. So we just need to think about how we're going to get through 3 and 4. And we also need to think about how we're going to get to 5 Pudge. All right, see, look, we already are having a good start. So I think, so against yellow, Daydreaming Penguin is not really that important. And so I think I like keeping everything. So we're going to play Daydreaming as a rod. One other thing that I didn't talk about in the gameplay in the strategy section is you do want to play a rod every turn if you can. Just because after YumYum, you're going to have a pretty full hand if you have a Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. And so really having, this deck is all about coming out on the other side of YumYum in a strong position, and having a lot of rods is helpful for that. I also think that the whole setup for YumYum is always a very interesting and tense situation. Okay, so actually when we look at our hand, we already have 4 Pudge here. So we have the Wizard Penguin, Penguin Doesn't Mind Goodbye, and Flying Penguin. So we really only need 1 more Penguin. So we could think about this in the way of, okay, so we're just going to play our rods, play out the curve, and then, yeah. Okay, so we have PotStirringPenguin, which is also really good. I don't even know what I want to play as a rod. So I think in this case, I'm going to play the Wizard Penguin out. And I think I'm going to put the PotStirringPenguin down as the rod. So it's a little dangerous. And I think I'm being really greedy by keeping the entire like kind of top end of what this deck wants to do. So this might end up not being the right play because of that. So we'll see how the next few turns play out. So, and then I guess while we kind of go through this early game, the YumYum turn is also really tricky because if we play PenguinThatDoesntMindGoodbyes and then we play YumYum, they can respond to destroying it with some like a NotYourKeys or some sort of other, depending on what the color is. So I think there's a lot of like game of chicken that goes on around that and trying to time that properly. All right, so they're playing Penguin Who Zooms. So that makes me think that this is probably not a YumYum deck. Just because at least I found when I built this deck, I had to cut out the Penguin Who Zooms. Well, I guess Penguin Who Zooms is part of two different packages. There's the like extroverted penguin package and the as well as the what's it called, the Penguin Who Might Bring a +1 package. But neither of those packages are in this deck, or at least in my build. But that doesn't mean they're not playing YumYum, because you can just throw YumYum in any deck, any yellow deck, and it still can be strong. Okay, so I do really want to play a rod, but I still think, yeah, so I think I'm going to just play this as a rod. I'm really thinking about trying to ramp up to the 5 Pudge for Inspiring Story. The other really nice thing about getting, or 5 fish, getting Inspiring Story down is it protects all my penguins from GotEm and DaydreamingPenguin. So let's see. All right. The game is really telling me that I should be playing a PotStirringPenguin, I think, because I've now drawn 3 in a row. I think so. Well, luckily this time we lost a vibe check, so we'll draw one more card. All right, so they're playing I think they're playing more like the starter deck style of deck. And so this one, this deck is we're very good against, because YumYum is very devastating to that deck. All right, so DaydreamingPenguin is not really that strong. Like, the main thing it can do against this type of yellow deck is take care of the extrovert if they leave it at 2 vibe. But most players are smart enough not to do that. So we'll play that as the rod, and we'll play the pot stirring. So now we have our, well, the daydreaming does go really well with Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. So maybe that was a bit hasty, but I think I'm a little tunneled in already on how I want to win this game, which is going to be through Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes, basically the normal game plan. All right, and as part of the normal game plan, we want to have as big of a board as possible so we draw as many cards. So I think we'll probably end up playing this without its growth bonus. I mean, Penguin Who's Late to the Party also is just a 2-fish penguin. So, all right, so they're going to play Trampoline Penguin. So their extrovert is going to get very big. But that's not a problem, because no matter how big the extrovert gets, the YumYum will be able to handle it. I think, so one other thing we didn't talk about before was that with YumYum, you really want to wait as long as possible. Like, the longer you wait, assuming they're not playing around it, the more value you can get. Like, if I YumYum right now, it would actually not be that great for me. Oh, what a perfect draw. So we're going to play Penguin Who's Late to the Party. And I think we're going to play Inspiring. No. Yeah, I think we'll play. This is a good question. So we're still 9. We're still pretty far away from the end of the game. So the question is which of these two to play. I think we'll play Inspiring Story just to be mana efficient. Or I guess rod efficient. Because next turn we can play Lucky Penguin and then Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. So as soon as we play Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes, we will potentially have to YumYum on any single turn. Because what will happen is, if they NotYourKeys, the Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes, we have to YumYum in response. So, in the world where a YumYum happens, I think I would rather have Inspiring Story be on the board. See, and we got paid off. The payoff was so good. Because now we're going to be able to play two Lucky Penguins next turn. So we're really lucky, no pun intended. This is like the perfect pan out for this deck. So they're at 11. So I think we still have 2 turns. Theoretically, if they were to put us on 14, we wouldn't. But okay, so we'll just play. Okay, so BuddyUp. We don't need that now because that's really to close out the game. So we're gonna play Lucky Penguin and Lucky Penguin. And as soon as we play Lucky Penguin, they know what's happening. Like this card really only is in the YumYum version of the deck. So we've given away what deck we are now. So that's another nice thing about this deck is for the first, I don't know, 4 turns, it's pretty easy to role play as a different deck. So now we start thinking about the YumYum turn. So ideally, we're going to play Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. And then, so actually there's a world where we would win without YumYum now. Because we have Penguin Who's Late to the Party, which is going to become a 10 with Inspiring Story. His extrovert is at 8. So I think there's maybe a world where we'll be able to just pressure them out. I really want to get the value from the Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes, but it also really isn't necessary. Like with Inspiring Story and 2 Lucky Penguins, we should be able to easily win the post YumYum board state because we're going to be up basically three items on the board. Especially if we would keep Penguin Who's Late to the Party in my hand. So actually I think maybe that's what's going to happen this turn. All right, so Shocking Penguin. So now we definitely have to use YumYum because we won't be able to outgrow this. But this is also really nice because now they won't be able to have Pudge to respond with the Not Your Keys. So, okay, so we're going to YumYum this turn. So we're going to play this, and we're also going to, so we're going to end up drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So let's play the Yellow Penguin Wizard as a rod, just because, like I said, the Penguin Who's Late to the Party is a really good post-YumYum Penguin. So this will be the YumYum turn, just because we have really no way to deal with the Shocking Penguin. And so if we do this, all right, well, should we wait a turn? So the reason to maybe wait a turn is they have a full hand right now. So I think maybe we wait a turn and see. Well, but then they can counter it with yeah, because if we YumYum now, yeah, so let's wait a turn because they have a pretty full hand and we're not pressured yet. So the downside of waiting a turn is that they'll get potentially the ability to play Not Your Keys to stop Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. Okay, so now we have Not Your Keys. So I think maybe there's a world where we just Not Your Keys the Shocking Penguin and then just win kind of the traditional way. So that's on the table now as well. Do we have enough Pudge? 1, 2, 3. We have 8 Pudge. So we actually could play the Penguin Who's Late to the Party. And then we could play both. So we could try the Not Your Keys way. And if we get into a rough situation, we can play YumYum. So even though I think we're not going to end up playing YumYum this game, I think you can see the setup very clearly. We would play YumYum. We draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. We would get 2 penguins back, which would probably be the Pot Stirring and the Wizard Penguin. We would win the vibe check because of the Pot Stirring Penguin. All right, and now actually it's kind of looking like we have to YumYum. Okay, so we're gonna end up going the YumYum way. But so this was really good because we either had to go the YumYum way, or we would have won with Not Your Keys. So I think okay, so we're gonna play a rod for sure. Just because, like I said, we want to have as many rods on the other side of this as possible. So the question is, do we want to play Penguin Who's Late to the Party? Because if we play it, do we have... Yeah, I'm going to play it... No, because there's really no benefit to playing it. Because this is actually the penguin I most want in my hand, post YumYum. So I think we will pass. And there's no reason to play both spells this turn, because I don't think there's a single card that I can get punished with. The one thing that they could do is Not Your Keys, my Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. And so if they do that, I would rather have the additional Penguin Who's Late to the Party in my hand, or the additional Daydreaming Penguin. Like, I would rather have more cards in my hand anyway. That being said, though, I still feel really good about, you know, post YumYum coming out on top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is interesting, actually, because if they Not Your Keys, the Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes, they would be fully flopped out. But in that case, I will have already put YumYum on the stack. So there's really no way that that's going to actually benefit me. All right, so they're going to try to draw cards. Oh, so now we can just win the game, I think. Because now we'll just use Not Your Keys on that penguin. Yeah, no, wait. Because if we did that, then they could play What a Twist on the Shocking Penguin, and we would lose the game. So I think that's not worth it. I think it's very unlikely that they're playing What a Twist, but if we use Not Your Keys on the Extrovert Penguin, and then they played What a Twist on the Shocking Penguin, we would lose the game. So I don't think that that's worth the risk, because I think this way we're going to guaranteed to win the game. So let's see what they got. All right, so we're going to have a Shy Penguin to deal with, which is good that we have the Not Your Keys. All right, and plus we have a BuddyUp as a finisher. All right, so we're drawing not a lot of penguins. All right, so we got one penguin. All right, so the first one we want back is, so we definitely want to win the vibe check. So we'll bring pot stirring back, and then we'll bring in the wizard because we'll want more Pudge. So the reason we did pot stirring is because we want to win the vibe check. And then also because both of these produce 2 Pudge. Because in these final turns, right, this is kind of how you win the game with this deck. We basically generated all this value now, and then we're going to really push in now with a really strong turn. Like this is the turn we've been waiting for. And so we're going to have 9 rods. Well, we're going to 10 rods actually. So that's going to be really good. Yeah, so we're going to set up for the win now. So we're going to play Penguin Who's Late to the Party. That's going to be a 10 vibe. Then we're going to play, I guess, Wizard Penguin and Wizard Penguin. So yeah, so I think now we should basically win the game. Because what can they do about this? So they could play the Shy Penguin, but the Shy Penguin is going to be 10. And our Penguin Who's Late to the Party is going to be 10. We have the Baron, where we have over 15. So we don't actually need the extra rod. So I think we're in a really good spot here. So Shy Penguin comes out. So maybe they could like Not Your Keys, or maybe some sort of BuddyUp shenanigans. But again, even if they do something, we can end this turn with playing Prepare for a Wild Night. Although actually, I think I would probably just Not Your Keys the Shy Penguin. Either way, we also have BuddyUp ourselves for, yeah, even now we could BuddyUp. Like if for some reason they played like a supportive friend. Oh, okay, yeah. So this is. Oh, wow, this doesn't even activate. Okay, so even say that they did this to flop the Penguin Who's Late to the Party, we still could have gotten away with using Not Your Keys or BuddyUp or something. But okay, anyway. Right, we pass because we're at 10 vibe. He's at Shy Penguin is at 10 vibe, and we will win if the vibe is tied. So maybe they could, okay, if they have BuddyUp, also wouldn't be sufficient. But yeah, okay, so that's the end of the game. And so it's a yeah, I think this game was a good example of kind of the ideal way this deck plays out. And so I hope you guys found this useful. And I think if you like this type of video, please subscribe to the channel. To give a little more context, I am currently working on building out 3 different lanes of types of videos. So this is in the like deck guide lane, where I'm creating videos with a polished deck, explaining the card choices, and then kind of going through some gameplay. I'm also creating just additional gameplay videos, because while this game was good, I think to really understand how this deck works, we're going to have to play a lot more games. So I'm going to just keep adding on the decks that I think are the strongest decks in the game. I'll just keep adding more and more gameplay videos. And then the last category video is what I call my deck design series. And this is just me kind of playing with concepts of decks that aren't fully figured out yet. And in those deck design videos, you're going to see a lot more of the like raw jankiness of what it takes to actually come up with a polished list. And so anyway, yeah. And if you have any suggestions for types of content to make or decks you want me to explore, please just write a comment down on this video. or you can also find me on the Vibes Discord. And I'll have links to everything down in the description.